Alright guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, going to go over a story titled Treat Me Like a Game and I Will Show You How It's Played. Her life crumbles whilst mine has never been better. And guys, this story is about a young guy who was with his girlfriend for about 4 years throughout college, and he thought everything was amazing and wonderful. It was like a Lifetime movie or a Hallmark movie, whatever. Even so great that he thought it was ready to pop the question to her. And then eventually, one day, things started to not add up. He started noticing red flags. She started not wanting to see him so much, not interested in being romantic, all those type of things. And then one day, he discovers that what was really going on. That pretty much, no surprise, she was cheating on him, all that. And instead of letting this destroy him or him go begging her to take him back or any of that crap that a lot of times guys would do, this guy handles this thing great. And not only does he eventually get some very warranted payback on her, but he also handles it and gets things going in a way that later on his life is even better. As he says in the title, hasn't ever been better, and you're going to see exactly how that is. And her life isn't so great. So this is a great story, guys, to show you that even though this guy obviously goes through a lot of hurt and a lot of pain and all that, this guy's life is even better now than it was before. A great success story. So I'm going to go through this, guys, because believe me, as I go through this, a lot of you guys are going to relate to some of these things that he talks about in this story, because there's plenty of you guys, obviously, if you aren't relationship guys, you were probably when you were younger, and you can relate to some of this. And this is a guy who makes a great comeback. So, starts off, this happened to me about a year ago, and my current girlfriend encouraged me to post it here and share my experience with my cheating ex and how my life has never been better. My therapist also agrees, so here we go. He says, I, a 25-year-old male, was dating my ex-girlfriend. Let's call her Jess, a 24-year-old female, for 4.5 years. We met at university, and she was in my business management class. We got put together on a huge project for the semester, and we just sort of clicked. And after we finished the project, I asked her out, and she said yes. Those first few years that we were together were absolute bliss. We were all lovey-dovey with each other, and overall, everything just felt right between us. We rarely argued, and we never got into fights. We communicated clearly and openly with each other. I really thought that she was the one, and that I was going to spend the rest of my life with her. Hell, I was saving up to buy a ring, but here I am. Guys, does this sound familiar? Does this at least somewhat sound familiar to many of you guys at college or your early 20s? You eventually meet that girl and all these, you click. You know, the hooking up is amazing. You finish each other's sentences. The families love each other. All that stuff, all these amazing things, which, yeah, that's cool. But then, red flags start happening. But then you find out something going on behind the scenes. Something like that, okay? And just like this guy thought, she's got to be the one. That's it. You know, of all the people in the world, she's the one. It's all magical. It's just like the movies. Well, unfortunately, life is not a movie. Life is not a Lifetime show or fairy tale. And it is what it is. But you're going to see how this goes, guys. Our hero here in the story, he will come out on top in the end. He says, during the last half of our relationship, she began to grow distant and was constantly making excuses on why we couldn't hang out together as much. Distant. That is one of the first things you always see. Pay attention, guys. If you guys were pretty much joined at the hip throughout your relationship, which I don't encourage, by the way, you need to have some distance so that, you know, your lady, you have a life for yourself and you're on your purpose. If you're in a relationship, you have a life and you're focusing on that, and she gets some of your time, not all your time. But anyhow, if you're joined at the hip like this guy was with his girlfriend, and all of a sudden she suddenly doesn't want to hang out as much or be romantic, or something's up, okay? And it's not just because she has a stomach ache or something's going on or she's stressed. Something's up. He says, both of us, of course. Oh, it goes on. She says she was also making excuses on why we couldn't hang out together. Both of us, of course, were out of university and we had begun working full-time jobs, so I thought this was normal. And he says in parentheses, note that we were never living together. Well, that is very smart, bro. Good for you for doing that. But soon enough, she was starting to turn down intimacy. For some background information on me and her, that we have very high libidos. We normally would go at it at least once a day. I always wore protection, and she was on the pill, thank God, because neither of us wanted to have kids. Very smart, man. Guys, always wear protection. I don't care if she says she's on the pill. I don't care how good it feels. Always wear protection. You don't need that one little feel-good moment there to pretty much ruin the rest of your life. And if you don't believe me, go right ahead and don't wear protection. You'll see what happens. It says, one night we decided to spend the night at her place. I tried to initiate intimacy, and of course, she turned it down. Again, he said that they were pretty much hooking up all the time, and then just boom, not interested. What does that say? This is really beginning to piss me off, and I voiced my frustrations to her, but she just said she wasn't feeling comfortable with her body at the time and asked to give her some space when it came to initiating intimacy. Again, high libido, hooking up all the time, and all of a sudden, boom. All of a sudden, feeling insecure about her body and all that. She wasn't feeling insecure about her body when you were hooking up in every room in your apartment, and she was bending like a pretzel to make you happy. But now, all of a sudden, she's insecure about her body. Something's up. She's getting it someplace else. I agreed, and we both went to bed. Or at least, she did. I just had this gut feeling in my stomach that something was off, and I went to snoop on her phone once I knew that she was asleep. Trust your gut, guys. And the phone will have all the secrets of the world. No joke. He says, he goes, yeah, I know this was a bad idea, but I don't regret it one bit. Dude, you snooping on her phone saved your ass. He says, and I found out that she was hooking up with her serial cheating ex-boyfriend, who's a 24-year-old guy. I found messages, pictures, and full-blown videos of them effing. The videos effing killed me. In those videos, she was acting and saying things that really made me look at her as nothing more than a waste of space and a WHORE. Can you imagine that, guys? You find on your phone the girl you've been with all those years who thought everything was wonderful, who you were going to marry, and found there were pictures and videos of her with some other dude. I mean, in my opinion, if she actually kept those on her phone, she wanted to get caught. Okay? But it is what it is. But can you imagine that? That is terrible. Just break up with the guy. I never understood. Well, I do understand it because this way she got to keep the guy, the boyfriend, because he was obviously the safe guy, the nice guy that she could have, and yeah, a guarantee. But she was busy hooking up with her, as he said, serial cheating ex-boyfriend, which means he obviously was a chatter Tyrone, and her ego couldn't handle the fact that not having him, so she gets to have her boyfriend and the cheating chatter Tyrone as well. Real nice. I mean, you want to talk about being selfish. Just end it. But it is what. But paybacks are coming. It says, at that very moment, all I could feel was hatred towards her. I looked down at her as she was sleeping, and all I could feel was a disgust. I then took screenshots of all the messages and sent them to me, including the other pics that she sent to him. Not the videos, though. I couldn't bear to send those. I quietly took whatever belongings I still had at her apartment and took them out to my car and went back to my apartment. In the morning, she called me and asked where I was, and I just gave her a quick, believable excuse, and she bought it. And he says, now he's going to give a little background information, which is going to make this story really good. He says, now let me introduce you to one of my close childhood friends. Let's call her Julia, a 21-year-old female. Julia and I were really close throughout our childhood, back through high school. Me and her brother are best friends, and they live a block away from my parents' home and where I grew up. Now, about a year after me and Jess got together, I returned back to my hometown for my cousin's wedding and began hanging out with my old friends, including Julia and her brother. I'm sure you guys can see where this is going. During the night, she confessed that she had feelings for me. I turned her down and told her that I already had a girlfriend, and she was very understanding and apologized, and after that, we really didn't talk much about it, as I didn't want to give her any indications that I was interested in a relationship with her since I was dating Jess. See, this guy's an honorable, good guy. He'd have a chance to have fun with this younger girl that was hot for him. But no, he had his girlfriend, he loved her, and he wasn't going to cheat on her. Well, his girlfriend obviously wasn't as loyal. He says she was fine with this, understood it with no issues at all. She doesn't use social media, so the only way we could talk was over iMessage. During that time, I took a lot of photos of us hanging out with each other again. I went back to the university about a week later, and I showed Jess where I was and who I was with, and she was interested in seeing who I hung out with during my trip. Oh, I'm sure she was, because she's a liar and a cheater, so she's going to assume you are too, so she wants to investigate. Whilst we were scrolling through the images, a picture of me and Julia popped up. She began to ask questions about who she was. I already explained to her that she was a childhood friend of mine and that during the trip she confessed feelings for me. Uh-oh. You tell your girlfriend, who is a cheater by the way, that this girl confessed feelings for you, that's not going to go away. And she's not going to forget that. And he said, I shot her down and showed her the text message to back it up. And overall, she seemed fine with that. Bullshit. She did not seem fine with it, okay? This guy's kidding himself. He thinks his girlfriend, who had a younger girl, who's probably better looking than her, admit feelings for him. And, oh, no, it's no big deal. No. She's not fine with it. She's going to remember that shit forever. About a year later, during a little argument we had, she confessed to me that she was very insecure about her body, and she grew very insecure about seeing pictures of Julia because Julia had a very slim figure and looked gorgeous. Told you. I did my best to calm her fears, but I think in the end she never really got over that. Nope. Younger woman, better looking, better body. No way. Now back to the story. So we had our little thing going on there about Julia. Now wait till you see what happens with Julia. I messaged my parents back in my hometown and asked them if I could stay at their place for the upcoming week, as I had some important things to discuss with them, and they were worried, but agreed. I've been telling Jess I was going down to see my parents, and I haven't seen them in a while. I went to visit them, and she didn't bat an eyelid at that. Yeah, because she's thinking, okay, good, the boyfriend's gone, so I can go back to my ex-boyfriend and continue to F him while my boyfriend's gone, and she's probably happy about this. Well, she's about to get some payback. I went to work and met with my boss and explained to him the entire situation, and I asked for a little break, and he told me to take as much time as I need and come back when I'm ready. Well, that's cool. I went on my way down there during the weekend and told my parents everything. They were truly disgusted with her actions, and my mom told me that if I ever took her back, she was not allowed their house ever. I told my mom not to worry. I had enough self-dignity not to ever take her back. Good for you, man. I then messaged Julia and asked if she and I could talk. Gee, what did this guy possibly have in the back of his mind to go contact the girl who professed her feelings for him and was hotter and younger than his current girlfriend? I wonder how this is going to go. She agreed. I went over to her apartment. I explained everything that I found out about Jess. I don't know what happened, but I think at that very moment, everything kind of hit me, and I began cry profusely, not only because I lost someone I loved, but the fact that I wasted so much of my time on her, and I would never get that time back. That sucks, man. It is what it is, but it sucks. And a lot of guys have been in that situation. But you know what? Karma's a bitch and always tends to eventually bite assholes in the butt. He says, Julia was there to console me throughout my entire breakdown. After a little while, I calmed down. She brought out some drinks, and we just drank, watched movies, and played Mario Kart until 2 a.m. At this point, we were both quite tipsy, to say the least, and I couldn't really go back to my parents' place. Yeah, something tells me Julia had other ideas in mind when she brought out the alcohol. And, oh, well, you're drunk, so why don't you just stay here? I'll take care of you. She offered me to stay the night, and I did. We went to her room, and one thing led to another, and we were making out in her bed. I never saw that coming. Just before we took off our clothes, listened to this. She told me to take out my phone and start recording. Ooh, she's a freaky little thing, but this freaky little thing has a purpose to her, a method to her madness here. As you could probably guess, we did the deed quite a few times that night. The entire time we were doing it, Julie was yelling out derogatory things about Jess, like, this P word is much tighter than that filthy W-H-O-R-E. Stuff like that. After our last go, I went and stopped recording and we went to bed. I woke up the next day to the smell of her making breakfast, and we ate together. I asked her why she wanted me to record what we did last night, and she said that she wanted to help me get some payback. I never once mentioned getting revenge on Jess, but I guess Julia knows me pretty well and knows that I would want to get some revenge just for treating me this way. Or Julia is seeing a golden opportunity to ensure this girl never comes back. So I'm going to encourage you to record our little fun on your phone, and you can send it to her, and that way you'll never ever see her again. The alcohol, the videos, the cooking breakfast the next morning. Julie knows what she's doing, okay? And I mean, hey, this he's benefiting from this, but let's not kid ourselves. She knows what she's doing here. Anyhow, she just told me to just send the ex-girlfriend the audio file from the recording and break up with her. She told me that she still has feelings for me and will wait for me to sort everything out with Jess. I told her I can't promise her anything, and she said that was fine. She just wanted me to know. Yeah. After that, we said our goodbyes. I went back to my parents' home, and they were kind of worried, asking if I were all where I was last night. I told them me and Julie were just catching up. My parents were relieved, but as my parents got ready for work, my dad had a smirk on his face. Guess he knows what I was doing that night. Oh yeah, Dad knows, and Dad obviously knows who Julie is, and obviously probably knows she's a little hottie, so he's like, good job, son. I went on my computer and downloaded the video from my phone, edited the video just to audio and a black screen. Once I was done, I spent the rest of my weekend with my friends partying and having fun, as well as spending a lot of time with Julia and maybe having you-know-what a few times as well. This time, no recording. I informed my boss I would be returning to work in about a week, and he said that was perfectly fine. Best boss ever. That is a cool boss. I then texted Jess, and I knew she was hooking up with her ex, and I sent all the screenshots. My last message to her was, treat me like a game and I'll show you how it's played. And I attached the audio of me having and Julia having you-know-what, and then blocked her. Nice, man. That's exactly what she deserves, especially with the girl that she was obviously so jealous and threatened by. It makes it even better. And I might add, Julia knew exactly what she was doing here, so just be careful with Julia. You don't want to make the same mistake twice. Over the next few days, I was getting spam calls and spam messages from a bunch of our mutual friends and her family. I sent them all screenshots of the text messages that I had, and it was radio silence for the most part after that. Damn, he sent them the pictures of her and the ex hooking up to her parents, to the mutual friends. This guy was a great guy to her, as you can see through the story in the beginning, and so she brought this on herself. Needless to say, she obviously radio silence after that. He says her parents called me and apologized for their daughter's behavior, and that was that. Wow. A lot of times that doesn't happen. A lot of times the parents will side with the girl, and especially the mother, because the mother, acorn doesn't fall far from the tree. But a lot of times these stories I do, the father actually feels bad, especially if the daughter had a good guy. He concludes this telling where he is 1 year later, and he is doing great, guys. He says, I just had my 26th birthday with my family and girlfriend of close to 1 year, Julia, who is now 22. Gee, I never saw that coming, that Julia is now the new girlfriend. Imagine that. Julia knew exactly how to play her cards. Now, I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt and say Julia is obviously a better person than the other one, and cool, and all that, but this guy, I would hope, learn not to go rushing into anything, and no matter how cool Julia is, keep his eyes open, watch out for red flags. But anyhow, he says, I recently got a promotion at my work, and Julia just moved in with me. Uh-oh, he's moving in with Julia. Okay. And she's going to graduate in a little over a week from now. She transferred over to university I went to for her final year. I have a constant workout schedule. I'm now 5'11", 165. He says, I was always pretty skinny while I was growing up. I never felt more proud of myself, and I feel generally cared for in ways I never felt before. Well, that's awesome, man. Good for you. Promotion at work. You're working out, you're taking care of your body. You feel generally really cared for by your new girlfriend, Julia. And in spite of the jokes I've been making through this video, I wish this guy the absolute best. That this girl is great to him and all that. And he never has to do any kind of BS he dealt with a prior girlfriend ever again. But you can't say it's an accident that the things that happened with the new girlfriend, Julia, happened. I mean, she wanted him and she knew exactly what to do to make sure that the ex-girlfriend never comes back. I mean, I'm being honest here. He says, now for my ex. A friend told me that apparently she went through a huge crisis because after I dumped her, she found that she was pregnant. And her ex that did that to her apparently ghosted her. He says, I couldn't be the dad because I never went raw on her. She had an abortion and her life has been a mess ever since. Has an alcohol addiction, and thanks to the video I sent, she now has a huge body insecurity issues and has ruined most, if not all, her relationships since. For her, I am the one that got away, and for me, she's the largest bullet I ever dodged. I still despise her because of those 4.5 years you spent together are lost, and I can never get them back. But I'm living my best life, and I couldn't be happier. Fucking awesome. My one piece of advice to anyone who's ever been cheated on, never settle for someone that doesn't respect you. The world is your oyster. Go out and live your best life. Damn, that is a great story. That is a great comeback. I'm so happy to hear this guy a year later. He's doing great. Because a lot of guys would just break down and they're miserable and depressed, and I get those emotions and feelings, but they let that take over and their life is a complete mess because of some broad. In this situation, this guy, he had backup, I might add, with Julia, and he went right to her. And he knew what he was doing, but so did she. But nevertheless, he's doing great. Promotion at work. He's feeling on top of the world. He's got this great girlfriend that is awesome, but again, I still warn, pay attention to the red flags, but okay. And the ex who did this to him, and obviously it wasn't like an isolated incident, she's doing, her life is shit. And that karma's a bitch, like I said. So anyhow, guys, great success story. A guy that was a good guy, but got burned big time, got some payback, and now he's doing great. That's what I really want to hear. So I figured you guys would enjoy this story. So, all right, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.